The subreddit Cannibalismadvocates has been banned, so only a few posts still exist. As the name suggests, it's a group of people that support the idea of eating other humans. As always with these groups, it's difficult to say if they really mean what they say, so as always, take these posts with a grain of salt. It wasn't the biggest type of group. It had nearly 500 members. One post that was cross-posted on other subs reads, "Ask me anything. I'm a real endo-cannibal who has been on the internet for a couple of years now, advocating for cannibalism rights and normalization. I don't judge anyone, and I believe that consent is the key to reality. I feel as though cannibals are shrouded in a strange, mysterious aura, and well, that is super cool aesthetically. I feel as though we need to be understood more. The term endo-cannibalism means practicing it in one's own locality or community. There are cultural cases of this actually happening. From my understanding, it is mostly something happening in tribes in forms of rituals. In Western Brazil, there's an indigenous group called the Wari, who endorses practice because they believe it is an act of compassion. Rejecting this practice is considered offensive or even disrespectful in certain scenarios. I'm giving this context because this post here could really be someone who also believes in this practice. However, other posts on the sub go into a different direction. This one reads, "Soon to be eaten, finally. Hi everyone, I have exciting news. I'm a 400-pound, 25-year-old guy, bad life, etc. I found someone to eat me. He's now fattening me up, huge and tight as possible to then eat me. He said I'll be eaten at Christmas at 600 pounds. I'm nervous, but just as excited, as it will all end, and I'll finally be good for something." This looks like a troll, but there are cases such as Armin Maivis, where his victim wanted his life to be taken in a very brutal manner and then to be eaten. He would openly chat with Armin about these fantasies. Armin Maivis has since been in prison, exceeding the maximum possible sentence of 15 years in Germany, which can happen in very exceptional circumstances. So yeah, this post could again be a troll, but it's always possible that it might be real. Not much more to say about this sub, since it has been banned for a while now. TraceAnObject is a subreddit which serves a good purpose. It tries to track down objects that Europol and the FBI is looking into to track down the perpetrators, find missing people, and so on. Given the context of these images, they are really disturbing, and personally, I feel really uncomfortable looking at them. There are also images of rooms, for instance here, posted on the 10th of August this year from Australian authorities. They include the items number 230-1002 and 230-1003. They show a wall and a room. These images look odd, however. They seem to be cropped to maybe avoid showing more graphic stuff. Especially the image with the wall seems really off. The wall here looks like it could be from a daycare center, as someone mentions in the comments. They claim that it looks like a play castle. In other replies, the same Reddit user points out that their kids attended a daycare and there was a similar looking corner to resemble a castle. Others say that this image has been altered to remove traces and that it should be reported. There are numerous people in the comments pointing out that the images seem fake, maybe even generated or manipulated. There are a bunch more cropped out items, mostly shirts and items like cups or calendars, that are being shared in the hopes of tracking down certain brands or locations like schools, where certain uniforms are being worn, which may help to narrow down the investigation. I think it's good to follow these posts of this sub every now and then. There may be things that you are able to identify, which authorities couldn't. FindBoston Bombers was a subreddit dedicated to finding the culprits of the Boston attack. It took place on the 15th of April 2013 during the Boston Marathon, taking the lives of 3 people and leaving 200 injured. Initially, the subreddit was created just to compile more information and news regarding the incident, but it quickly turned into an online witch hunt with members of the subreddit posting pictures and details of innocent people, accusing them of the crime. One such person was a university student named Sanil Tirupati. Sanil had gone missing weeks before the incident. Users on Reddit claim that Sanil's facial features are similar to that of a suspect, and he could possibly be the perpetrator. One such post accusing Sanil was posted on a different subreddit named RWTF, reading, "Recently missing Brown University student Sanil Tirupati and suspect number 2 share similar hair, ear structure, brow structure, and face shape." The Redditors went way too far. Some tracked down Facebook pages of Sanil's family and left comments that were rather vulgar, to say the least. The accusations only stopped when the FBI released images of the actual culprit who was responsible for the attack. Unfortunately, Sanal had already passed away even before the accusations began by self-inflicting death. Sanal's body was found days later in the Province River in Rhode Island. Another teenager, Salah Barhoun, was also identified by the Redditors as a possible suspect, and the teenager went directly to the authorities and cleared his name. According to him, he was shocked to see his face suddenly pop up on television and his name being tagged on countless photos on social media. Salah's brother said that hearing the news of Salah being a potential culprit made them sick and upset. In another interview, Salah said that it was the worst feeling he could possibly feel. Keep in mind that he was only 17 years old. The investigation on the subreddit was heavily unmoderated and was done by amateurs without any prior experience in the field. A post made by one of the moderators, who went by rather confused on the subreddit Off My Chest, reads as follows. I was a mod over there. I was among one of the most active when things were hot. Let me first say that when I joined, I had no idea how big it was going to become. It grew from a thread on our news. Despite what most media would have you expect, it was never intended to be a witch hunt. Did I think our subreddit was gonna find the culprits? Not really. This wasn't really the point. The real point of the subreddit was to get people together and encourage critical thought and skepticism rather than rampant vigilantism. I'm a skeptic. While we hosted a bunch of people searching through photos, our efforts were not to become vigilantes, but rather let people run their theories and basically do what people are naturally inclined to do, but in a heavily moderated setting. In regards to the misidentified kid, to whose family I issued a truly sincere and heartfelt apology, our Reddit was not the first to use his name. It was an erroneous BuzzFeed tweet, which was since deleted, that I saw as a source. I was wrong and felt awful about it. The media was an interesting thing to deal with. They were out for blood. I did a phone interview with Vice, and it was among one of the most leading things I ever encountered. Completely unprofessional in my opinion. The statements being made here are rather conflicting. On one hand, they make the claim that the subreddit was basically just an outlet for others to make skeptical posts and question the media narrative. But on the other hand, they use the same media to spread misinformation and make baseless claims. And then even going so far to give Vice an interview, as if they never did hit pieces like these before. So yeah, pretty pointless post of someone trying to shift the blame instead of just leaving it at the apology. The subreddit was banned in April 2013 because of spreading misinformation and engaging in an online witch hunt. This subreddit is really disturbing. As the name suggests, the subreddit included images and videos of children being burned alive. I honestly couldn't find much information about the subreddit, as it obviously doesn't exist anymore, and the archives that exist are far in between. One post on the subreddit Ask Reddit, made by the user Chief Afro, reads, "What are some of the most disturbing subreddits?" On which another user replied, "Our kids." In an archive, we can clearly see posts with titles like Napalm Victim and Afghan Casualty. Other titles read, Boiled Alive. While these posts could be for educational purposes and curiosity, it's also possible that people are getting aroused by consuming this type of content. Either way, the subreddit has since been banned, and much of its content has been deleted off the internet. ObsessiveLoveStories is a subreddit filled with people who are obsessed with someone and usually like to stalk them. I've covered a similar subreddit in the past like Our Obsessive Love, but it got banned. ObsessiveLoveStories seems to act like a replacement for that subreddit. Some of the posts here are disturbing. One of the posts reads, I love you. I could be the perfect husband. Submissive, faithful, loyal. I love you even if you cut off all my limbs. Let me be your cute amputee darling. I don't need anyone but you. Whatever you want, I want too. I wish I could cut apart the people that have wronged you. And cut out the fatty parts I know you hate. The nerves, the bones, and serve them to you as a nice steak. Anything you want, I can do. I want to kiss you until you know you're mine. I'm useless with you. I wish I could just f*** you, so then I could take you away and tie you up. Then you'd have to be dependent on me. Nobody would get in my way. And you'd only be talking to me. I'll take care of you, my love. I'll cook for you. Clean the house. You wouldn't even have to lift a finger. The person who posted this seems to be also struggling with their mental health, and made numerous posts on the subreddit made of styrofoam showcasing it. A different post reads, God, they don't deserve you. I do. I literally cannot understand why you can't realize this. Do you not understand how much I love you? I love you even when you toss me aside for literally every girl you see, and yet you still talk to other people? I thought I was your first pick, not them. If I matter more than them, why do you never leave them when I tell you to? F you and your stupid little girlfriends. Amanda thinks she is better than me. and I know it. Are you so blind you cannot see this? Or do you just not care? God, I don't get it. The subreddit is filled with people who justify stalking and eavesdropping on people they are obsessed with. It's strange to witness how openly they confess to all of this and are even proud of it. One user cannot understand how stalking is a crime and would love to have a relationship with someone with the exact same viewpoint. Their post reads, I've always been obsessive since I was young. I never realized stalking, collecting photos, and loving intensely as I did was wrong. I relate to characters who stalked, or acted like a stalker at times, until they'd be hated by the other characters. I never knew why until now. People only know me as a shy person on the surface, but once I'm alone, I'm a stalker to whoever I like. Whenever I like someone, I always had to keep things from them. Things I knew about them, but they didn't tell me. I got to know them through other means, like cyberstalking or eavesdropping. It's a faster way to get to know them, and less stress, so I don't have to speak to them. Talking to people is scary. Watching and listening is easy. I remember when I loved intensely. I haven't loved like that in a long time. I pored over their social media and our chat so much. I recorded a clip of their face when we FaceTimed. I looked at it all the time. It was like taking a substance. I had to look at it so much. Talking to him was hard. They wouldn't talk to me first or for long. I also had to pretend I didn't know much about them from their social media, but we were separated. It was a bad friendship. Very one-sided. We left each other. Every relationship or friend I obsessed over has ended poorly. They used me, they never cared. They acted like they cared. I've always thought if I had someone just like me, it would be all better. A mutual stalker relationship. I stopped thinking about it for a long time, but now I've started to think about it again. Comments on this post are even more disturbing. Users relate to it and express their experience. One user writes, I always relate to those stalker characters. I'm not brave enough to physically stalk people, but I also slowly gather information around them and their social media. I currently have someone who I'm addicted to. Every day I see her, it's a surprise, and I can barely breathe. The last time we spoke a few days ago, she said she recognized me and remembered me. She looked me in the eyes and smiled and asked how I was doing. In this way, she actually wanted to know. This obsessive part of me, no one would suspect, no one would know. I'm completely incognito. No one knows much about me in real life, and I like it that way. Some posts seem to be exaggerated, but most of what I just read out seem real. The people posting only share snippets of what they do every day or what they think. There are obviously numerous cases of stalkers being extremely dangerous and terrifying to the point of victims being targeted in real life and worse. While obsessive love was quickly banned after my coverage, this subreddit here is still online to this date. Our Cantelmoism was a subreddit created by Chris Cantelmo, a Yale graduate biochemist who claimed he had developed a way to cure cancer by using DMT. What follows is the closest thing to a Reddit quote that I've seen. He went by the username ChrisCGC. One of his posts on the subreddit Casual IAMA reads, I am Chris Cantelmo. I discovered DMT cures cancer and explains schizophrenia. Ask me anything. This wasn't a troll because Chris genuinely believed it. This is made clear when he shares his contact information online. One of his posts on RDMT reads, I've been involved in a secret study of a new cancer treatment being undertaken by Mexican doctors with funding from the Chinese government. I have brain tumors that have been successfully treated with DMT, inhaled via vaporization. I was sworn to secrecy, but now that I know that the supplement is a miracle substance, I cannot in good conscience keep the secret any longer. American pharmaceutical companies know about this natural, human, and plant-based supplement, and they have been trying to create a version that they can patent before you find out about this cure. American pharmaceutical companies don't want to cure you. Their goal has been and will always be to keep you alive with disease, so they can make as much profit as possible. Your well-being is of zero concern. If anyone you know is suffering from it, please demand that your doctor get DMT for your needs now. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. The little guy being butchered by big business in this world ends here and now. My name is Chris G. Cantelmo. I'm a Yale biochemist. You can find my contact information online or DM me for my phone number, and I can tell you where and how to obtain it. Initially, Chris' posts were taken well and were appreciated. However, his delusions were getting more apparent day by day. In one of his posts, he claims that aliens are on Earth and he has been chosen as their ambassador. This message should be taken literally. It is absolutely God's honest truth, and I swear this to be true on the lives of those I hold most dear. Aliens are now present on Earth. They have been here for some time, training me and honing my ability to create this message. I don't know exactly why I've been chosen as one of the leaders or ambassadors. There may be many such ambassadors like me around the globe. More shall be revealed. What should you know? They are infinitely more sophisticated than we are. They are already controlling you in ways you cannot conceive. Anyone who tarnishes the natural world, and particularly the plant and ocean worlds, will be killed and eaten by our new supreme rulers. If you're reading this, you're enlightened enough to know how to proceed from this day forward. Respect the meek. Be the meek. The meek shall inherit this earth. As a result of these weird posts, he was banned from the subreddit. However, this wasn't the end, as he created another subreddit called DMT Neo, where he would continue to share his ideas about the world. At this point, he wanted to reach more people, so he began recruiting people off of subreddits like Our Teenagers by basically gilding them. That means spamming them with rewards. People joined his subreddit with hopes of receiving rewards and gaining Reddit Premium membership. Apparently, he spent over $100,000 sending people gold and platinum rewards to lure them into his cult-like group. He was also banned from Our Teenagers, but it was too late. He already had a following and people began taking him seriously. His followers made multiple subreddits dedicated to him, and some were even encouraged to take the substance. Chris CGC is one of the subreddits dedicated to him, which is still somehow up to this date. He even had a YouTube channel where he'd often post stuff about DMT and how aliens are taking over the world. One of his channel's description reads, "World's leading scientific expert on DMT." Mr. Cantelmoism is a Yale graduate biochemist who spent 35 years as a separations chemist to the pharmaceutical and biotech industries. At this channel, Mr. Cantelmo discusses science, technology, and other psychedelics. Mr. Cantelmo has been a consultant to the FBI regarding DMT and its role in observing alien entities which have now been proven to exist on Earth. A lot of people were following Chris just for the money, and he began to realize it. As a result, he decided to stop sending money to anyone, causing a steep decline in his popularity.
Hello all, Chris Cantelmo here. So, there's some, I guess there's some consternation over at the Discord about Blunt, and if I paid him to get rid of the Discord. No, I did not. I'm not sending out money to people anymore. Because I realize that just perverts the whole situation. People get money, they think they deserved it.
In one of his videos, he's seen offering people cancer treatment and even paying for their flight. Honestly, all of this is really painful to watch. It feels like Chris was a genuine person, but excessive use of DMT might have caused him to hallucinate and believe that aliens are trying to communicate with him. People on Reddit were reinforcing his delusions and using him for money. In one of his posts, he admits to being a schizo, and he claims that it made him a genius and more enlightened. He apparently even had a website which has since been deleted, but we can find some archives on the Wayback Machine. On his website, he has listed all of his discoveries. It looked like a manifesto of his cult. Some of his discoveries read, "There is a God. God emits a cosmic broadcast of electromagnetic waves. Humans and all other living creatures with a nervous system can receive information from God's cosmic broadcast, while the neural network is enabled by the substance. Aliens are now present on Earth and hyperactive, in an effort to save the Earth from environmental disaster. The aliens have recognized Chris Cantelmo as the only human well-versed enough to speak to the hearts and minds of every type of human. Aliens have demanded Chris to deliver the aliens' message. Stop polluting and warmongering and overpopulating, or we'll unleash an unstoppable plague and lethal worldwide epidemic." This is by no means satire. He truly believes in all of this. It is also apparent that Chris really hated criticism. He used to specifically target users who disagreed with him in his posts and videos.
So then I'm trying to find out if she goes to college or not, what's happening. And I'm like, hey, look, I think you're somewhat interesting. If you got the grades to go to an Ivy League school, I went to Yale, I'll write a recommendation for you. And then she seemingly perked up. So anyway, so I'm having this private chat with her at Reddit. She's being kind of I'm trying to extend this olive branch. And so I was asking her about college, and then I said, look, if you got the grades and the test scores, I'll write your recommendation. So then she comes back and, oh, that would be great. But I sense she was a little too quick to go from being a total, I want to use the word, but that's what she is.
Apparently, Chris got really angry about one of his followers who disagreed with him and doxed him, trying to get him fired from his job because of his involvement with substances. The person had to file a restraining order against Chris. He even faked his passing on Twitter to emotionally manipulate his followers into believing his innocence and gain more attention. This led to him being permanently banned from Reddit, along with his multiple subreddits and accounts of some of his cult followers. With this, his online presence declined. He remained active on YouTube, In November of 2019, Chris's body was found when he went for a quote-unquote walk. He left a note for his childhood friend who was staying over. In the note, he said he was going for a walk and will be back in a few hours. Unfortunately, he didn't. His body was found on West Fork, Fascination Spring Trail on 24th of November 2019. Before he died, he made some predictions. The predictions read as follows. A crash worse than the Great Depression is about to happen. USA is about to invade Iran, which will lead to a nuclear apocalypse. DMT serves as immunization for impending alien bioattacks. One of the active members of Cantelmoism shares his experience on the subreddit RBI. In my early days of Reddit, a post I made got gilded. Not knowing what this exactly was, I was looking at some posts of people being gilded a lot and stumbled upon the user ChrisCGC. I initially came to his account in order to be gilded, but boy did I fall into a rabbit hole. I started posting on the Cantelmoism subreddit and made some memes about Chris being like Jesus because of how much he gilded people, and lo and behold, the awards started trickling in. Every post would get spammed with platinum and gold, and I was hooked. After a while, I decided to DM him. It started off as me and him talking casually about anything, sometimes substances, and other times just random stuff. I then started talking to him every day. He said that I was one of his best friends on Reddit and that I had a good future ahead of me, and that when I was old enough, he would pay me to study at Yale. We had a great relationship and I learned a lot about him. He mentioned having a bad relationship with his sister and mother, and having a good relationship with his kids. He would always ask me if I needed money. Being a teenager, I lived with my parents, so I always declined. Sometime later, he started posting his theories on how Einstein was wrong, and that he was smarter, etc. Basically a bunch of BS theories that I'm pretty sure no one believed. I always helped him to spread word about substances. Not because I believed it cured anything, but because I wanted to get gilded. I then basically forgot about him and didn't talk to him for a while. A month later, I discovered that he passed away. I was honestly confused. I felt so bad knowing I probably could have prevented it if I carried on talking to him, but then part of me just felt strange. The Redditor further claims that Chris wasn't a cult leader, but a perfectly sane person. His post reads, "A lot of people said that he was some sort of cult leader, and everyone hailed him like a god. That's all false. Everyone called him God or Jesus, because it was a running joke that he was some sort of holy figure, because he gilded so much. People agreed with his theories in the comments to get their comments gilded. Knowing him personally, he was perfectly sane and normal, just adamant about the substance curing cancer, as when he started smoking it, his brain tumor went away. He wasn't in any way a cult leader. He had a lot of land on which he had a farm, not somewhere he kept his cult followers. He called people's names and sent threats because he was pissed off at people who disagreed with him after he spent $70,000 trying to get people to listen. Cantelmoism was merely a place that people such as me went to get gilded, and pretended to agree with his BS theories in exchange for premium. Keep in mind that these awards and Reddit premium don't mean anything. It's just worthless features on Reddit. Also, to say that Chris was a sane person is an interesting statement to make. Jailbait was a subreddit that uploaded pictures of underage girls in an extremely inappropriate way. There was nothing explicit on the subreddit, but the images were really suggestive. Strikingly, this was a very popular subreddit, the topics being the second most searched on the site, and even winning Subreddit of the Year award in 2008. It almost feels surreal that the subreddit existed and was even encouraged by many. Some of these posts are really disturbing, so I can't show them. The subreddit was even covered by a CNN reporter named Anderson Cooper, claiming that Reddit facilitates predators and it needs to be stopped.
This particular troll created several controversial, many would say creepy and twisted forums on the website Reddit. One was called Jailbait, and it featured suggestive photographs of teenagers, images that bordered on.
Instead of speaking against the subreddit, people began accusing Anderson himself for giving the subreddit attention and making it more popular. The subreddit was strictly about minors. Any post about a girl that may slightly look above 18 was instantly deleted. What's worse is that images of these girls were posted without their permission, usually taken from their Facebook pages and other social media. The subreddit was created by user Violent Tacres, who claims himself to be a troll and posts provoking content just to get a reaction out of people. Pics of their kids is another subreddit he created. The CEO of Reddit argued about freedom of speech and how, even though the content was disturbing, it wasn't illegal. A while later, a user posted suggestive images of her 14-year-old ex and offered to provide full pictures in the DMs. This led to the subreddit being banned forever, as it was promoting CP and harboring a P ring. Many users were really unhappy by the decision and began defending the subreddit, claiming it wasn't illegal. One of the posts by user Vlad the Detailer reads, "As most of you know, Reddit has recently come under scrutiny by the media for some of its content, namely the subreddit Jailbait, which depicts suggestive photos of underage girls. While the majority of Reddit users seem to want to distance themselves from this particular subreddit, I feel as if I must defend the practice of being attracted to post-pubescent underage girls. A quick glance at the front page of our Jailbait will show you that A, there's nothing explicit, and B, that the vast majority of the pictures are of girls who are fully mature. This means that these girls are physiologically mature enough to engage in intercourse for procreation. I would like to assert my belief that there is nothing wrong with being aroused at the majority of these pictures. These girls are not children, they are teenagers and young women. I assert that it is morally wrong to take advantage of or to exploit an underage girl, but that it is not morally wrong to find these girls attractive." Sounds like a lot of coping from a predator. The entire comment section under this post seems to be in support of the subreddit, and some even argue that the closing of our Jailbait was a deliberate attack facilitated by another American comedy forum named Something Awful. Something Awful did have a conflict with Reddit back in the days, when it went on to expose multiple subreddits that promoted borderline CP. Can't say that I'm surprised to find stuff like this and advocates for it on Reddit. If you haven't seen it yet, I have a full format dedicated to Reddit's most disturbing posts. Click here to see the full playlist.